This guide is specifically for beginners. Pharah gets the damage roll passive, healing after a while of not taking damage and reducing healing to anyone she deals damage to. Her passive ability is Hover Jet. Hold down your jump button to hover in the air. Is a horrible explanation. The description of this ability says hold to hover, but it's so much more than that. Activating Hover Jet gives Pharah a speed boost while also allowing her to slightly go up. In the center of your screen is this curved line, and this is your resource meter. Jet fuel, whatever you want to call it. This shows how long you have left to use Hover Jet. Holding down jump will deplete this meter, and standing on solid ground will recharge it quickly. Hovering doesn't count, you crazy Overwatch 1 players. Keep track of this meter, as this is your lifeline to stay in the air. I'll give you the most important trick that you need for Pharah though. Hovering in the air by holding down your jump button costs a lot of your fuel, and you can barely stay in the air for longer than a few seconds this way. Spamming or alternating your jump button helps to preserve your fuel for a lot longer, and I prefer alternating. Hold jump when you're falling until you're up until the height that you want to be at, then let go and repeat. Pharah's primary fire is Rocket Launcher. It's a weapon that shoots slow rockets with a slow rate of fire too. You can't hit headshots, but you do get a damage boost from a direct hit. The rockets deal damage in a small area where it hit, and anyone hit gets knocked back. But be careful though, the explosion damage and knockback also apply to yourself, unless you want the knockback. Playing against the Pharah might make this weapon feel incredibly broken, but the issue with the rockets compared to normal bullets is that if an enemy is firing at you, you can react and walk to a safe area. This reduces the damage taken by a lot, but Pharah's rockets individually deal a lot of damage. There's no walking to a safe zone after getting hit by 2 rockets. You just die. Getting hit only a few times is enough to kill any non-tank, whereas you usually need to get hit by a lot more bullets to get a kill. Pharah's alternative fire is Jet Dash. Hold down a movement button, then alternate fire to quickly dash into that direction. Jet Dash goes forward if you didn't hold down a movement button. This is just another movement option for Pharah and gives her more options to get around. Use this to get out of spawn, to get around when you're in dangerous, to get out, or even to go in aggressively. Not that useful by itself, but we'll get to that with Jump Jet, her ability 1. This is her signature move. She flies up and restores a bit of her Hover Jet fuel. Use this together with the tech I talked about before to stay in the air for as long as possible. Staying in the air makes things really hard for enemies, as aiming at airborne enemies from the ground leaves them susceptible to other threats from the ground. Having to switch aim from the ground to the air is really hard to pull off as well. If you can, try to fly near cover in the air. This does discombobulate my brain a little though. All the cover that I'm taking in the air is a bunch of things that I've never considered as cover before. Buildings, water towers, roofs, you fucking name it. Flying into cover helps you recover your jet fuel, reload and get out of harm's way. Too many Pharahs just stay in the air for as long as possible in open line of sight where everyone can see them. But I can guarantee you that this will only lead to a lot of frustration and you flaming your healers. Flying does not give you a free pass to not use cover. Pharah's ability 2 is called Concussion Blast. A bomb that does a small amount of damage, but the real value here is the knockback. Shoot this near a wall and an enemy and watch them fly away. There's a lot of places in a lot of maps where you can boop them off the map to instantly kill them. I personally found this hard to pull off, but instantly killing them is a pretty good deal in my opinion. You can also use this to disrupt the enemy positions or get them out of cover. The knockback also applies to yourself without dealing any damage, so you can also use this to get around faster. You can combine Jet Dash with Concussive Blast, so alternative fire and ability 2, in order to get around really fast. You can go even faster if you use the horizontal speed boost from Hover Jets, your jump button, if you tap or hold it down for a short amount of time. Pharah is an extremely mobile hero that can go around super fast, but not using any of these abilities actually makes Pharah play a lot slower than other heroes, since her rocket launcher is just slow by itself as well. Pharah is in a category of heroes called spammers. They spam a certain corner or area full with their damage to make it impossible for enemies to pass through. You can stay really far so that enemies can't hit you back unless they're snipers, while you're allowed to shoot at them. Just shoot straight at a certain corner and try to keep your rockets around a certain area before you reload. You might not hit anyone, maybe you will. It's one of the hard things about Pharah. You have to shoot your rockets and think about where the enemies will be 1 or 3 seconds in the future. If you do hit someone, you'll hear a little tick and a cross indicator in your middle of your screen. But don't write Pharah off as someone who can only do one thing. Pharah is also really good at flanking and getting close. Enemies absolutely do not want to sit with you in a closed off room. Rockets at point blank range are incredibly difficult to miss, and if you just calm down and think where you can stand and shoot. I usually like sitting in a corner or hugging a wall to create a tiny bit of extra distance so you can actually spot the enemy, then just shoot them. There's so much chaos in this tiny room because of you and the explosions that you create that it makes enemies panic, and there just isn't that much that enemies can do to fight back. I don't recommend using her Jump Jet, her ability 1 in small rooms, but Jet Dash, alternative fire, is a great option. You can also use Concussive Blast. ability too, to shake up the enemy and potentially make them lose your position. Weird to think about, but stuff like that really happens in the chaos of a small room. Pharah can also flank with her obvious superior movement, where she can either spam at enemies from a different angles or to get close. Being able to flank and get close is a requirement before making use of their ultimate, Barrage. Pharah shoots out a bunch of rockets that she can aim, but she stays still no matter if she's on the ground or in the air. One of the strongest ultimate with the highest damage potential with the worst weakness as well. This ultimate can deal such an absurd amount of damage that most people get instantly traumatized the second they start playing Overwatch 2. Playing her though, you can instantly feel how often Pharah just dies. The voice line and the rockets are incredibly loud, and the fact that you're just standing still means you're a sitting duck for the whole duration that you're shooting out your rockets. The rockets are also shot in a huge area, so the only way to kill someone reliably is to get closer. Stay too far and too little of the rockets hit your enemies, or they just die too slowly, or they fight back while you're shooting. Stay too close and the rockets will damage you, and it's hard to aim. Get a good feel of how far you should be ulting in order to get a good balance of damage and safety. But also, be prepared to just die a lot when ulting. Pharah is so vulnerable at higher ranks, it's weird if a Pharah doesn't die during an ult. That's it for Pharah. If the video helped, please subscribe and check out my other hero guides if you're interested.